evening, everybody, and welcome to the world-famous, award-winning, huge, defying gravity podcast that is the Long Run Show. Wilco's just having a drink, if that's what you're wondering. We just told him about all the sound effects in the background before we came online. He's just opened the
Sorry,
bottle.
mate. Sorry, mate. Carry on.
Yeah, sorry, mate. You're like Hayden. Hayden opened his bottle of water for about 3 hours when we did a podcast the other week, didn't it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Tonight, we are talking about running coaches and are they worth having? So I thought when we come up with this, I thought, you know what, I'd invite two of my deepest friends and who also not you, Wilco.
I didn't kill myself, mate. It's all right.
Who are also in the stable that is FORDY Runs coaching. I want you to think of these people that we brought onto the show as stallions, you know, like thoroughbreds. They're in the stable and they're ready to go. Okay. And we train with them at the horse place, and then we wheel them out, we let them out, and we put them in a truck, and we take them to the race, and they go. That's what I want. That's what I want you to think about. But we lovingly care for them. So we've got the show's going to be awful. I'm just telling you. We've got Dawn. Say hello, Dawn.
Hello.
And we've got Simon. Say hello, Simon.
Hi, everybody.
And we've got obviously Wilco's here. I just thought it'd be a great show to do this week in terms of talking about the running coach environment and understanding that, but also what the benefits and the pitfalls are. Got to be honest, you two, but don't be too honest. But also, like, because some people might be thinking about it and they might be like, do I need to? Don't know. What's the benefits? That sort of thing. So that's what we're going to be talking about. But before we do that, we've got to give a shout out to our sponsors at Skechers. I want you to go all over to skechers.co.uk and I want you to all buy some stuff on there because then that helps. Dawn, if you was buying some running shoes, I'm trying to be good. What store would you go to?
Start Fitness.
And Simon, what code would you use if you were shopping at Start Fitness?
FORDY Runs.
Oh, that's excellent. And Simon, if you needed some like sort of minty flavored sort of fueling solutions, is there a product you would use?
Kendall Mint gels.
You would probably. And Wilco, are you aware if there's a discount code for anybody there?
I believe it's 40 runs, mate.
Really well done. And if you wasn't getting coached by probably the most prominent, amazing but humble coach in the world, Dawn, would you consider using Cooper?
Yeah.
You would. And Simon, was you aware that you could currently get 20% off and 2 weeks free if you go to fordyruns.com/Cooper?
I was indeed, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So that's all for you. Well done, team. Great job. And we haven't prepped these guys. They look a bit nervous, don't they, Wilco?
Yeah, bit first day at school, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit first day at school. So what I said to him, I said, look, I've had a brilliant idea. By the way, I've had another brilliant idea that I've had message Speaker about. I can't tell you what it is, but if we do it, it's brilliant.
We have about 5 of these every half an hour.
So one of my brilliant ideas on the trade was I think we do genuinely need to do a podcast about running coaching and stuff like that, because I think this is so popular running at the moment and people are using apps like Cooper and stuff like that. But people like Dawn and Simon go down the route of getting a run coach. Now, if you have absolutely no idea about me, I'm a qualified athletics and running coach. Okay. So I did my badges and all that sort of stuff. I sort of specialize in endurance. That side of things. So that's my background, okay? And I coach runners on a one-to-one basis. I coach them on a group level and all that kind of thing, okay? So just so you know. But Dawn and Simon, starting with you two, what was the sort of thoughts behind getting a running coach, Dawn?
I wanted a bit more structure into my running rather than just going out and doing fast running all the time or just, no pattern to the running. You did my plan for Yorkshire Marathon, which was obviously one of the written plans. And after that, when I was going for Manchester Marathon, you messaged me and asked if you fancied the coaching, which I've done now for over a year now.
And she's absolutely, Dawn is such a good runner. And not just pace, all right, put that to one side, but in terms of being absorbed in the whole process, it's like a dream. Very much like Simon as well, getting involved in it, and we'll come on to that. So Simon, the same question to you. In terms of the coaching, what was the sort of thought process for you to take out coaching?
I mean, I suppose for me it was I only really started running properly during lockdown. Familiar story. Started around, was it March 2020? Ran a bit, got injured a bit, ran a bit, got injured a bit, and then decided to do a marathon. One Christmas day, myself and 3 family members, we made a pact that we're going to run a marathon together. We did that in November 2022. It went fairly well. And then I think I messaged you, Chris, just after that and said, I quite fancy qualifying for Boston. And there's a lot of that in the email, but that was a general gist of it. And we touched base and made a plan.
Yep. And then we went on from there. We'll come on to that. Wilco, just to bring you into this, obviously you're not coach, you're doing the Hanson plan and sort of
at the
stuff.
moment, yeah.
Has there ever been a time where you thought about getting a coach?
Well, I mean, I'm in a, without blowing smoke or anything, I'm in the fortunate position that we see each other regularly. So I know that I do have a fascination of trying to work things out for myself and, things like that. But I know that if I've got if I come across anything of sort, I can tap your brains and say, oh, what do you think about this? Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And, so I can get the advice. So that's mainly why I haven't gone the full hog, because I do have the privilege of regular, seeing you every week.
Yeah, you're in that group coaching environment.
Yeah.
So like, let's say a traditional running club that does coach sessions and things like that. Wilco's in that environment. So he's getting that element of coached. It's not a social run that he's doing that separately in Broxbourne, but we operate a coach session that he comes along to in Hertfordshire. So he gets that coach element. So we're working on all sorts of different stuff on a weekly basis. So Dawn, in terms of the coaching side of things, now everybody's different, right? And our goal recently was to get you good for age for London.
Yeah.
Which you destroyed quite easily. You should have gone faster. Simon, looking at you next. But no, in terms of good for age. But what was the sort of what's the best way to? What do you feel works really well for you in terms of? You said about the structure, but what about the coaching? Is it more the guided stuff? Is it the sessions? Where do you think the coaching works for you?
The sessions obviously come straight through onto my watch, so I follow those. And also, if I need anything from you, I'll just message you, and you'll come straight back to me, usually straight away.
I know I'm pretty good like that. It's because I hate WhatsApp, so it's quite amazing, really. Simon, for you in terms of the coaching, what do you think really works for you out of it?
I suppose my main driver initially was around accountability,
Right.
and making me accountable, that I'd have to speak to my coach, to you, and say why I haven't done something or why I've changed something. I also think that, and for me, it was like a goal-based thing, wasn't it? That we had the target, and that's what we're aiming for. But the whole running thing to me was probably, I was new to it. Nutrition side of things wasn't too great on that. I used to go out, I'd run 32 kilometers and not drink any water or take any gels. I'd just go off and just do all these kind of crazy things. Strength training, I hadn't visited a gym since I was about 16, I don't think. So yeah, it was the whole running world was new to me, and and that expert advice was valuable.
So just to give you guys the context to listen to, so what with both the runners and all the runners, it's like we sort of initiate a sort of approach with regards to what's our short, medium, jumping guys, by the way, this is a convo. It's like short, medium, and long-term goals. Yeah, it's probably what we all agreed on, right? And the same for you, Wilco, also in the group side of things. So we set plans and things like that in terms of like the next 12 weeks we're doing next. So we establish goals early for all of you. So like Dawn, GFA, Simon, BQ, and that sort of thing. And then we start the approach based around you as runners, and that's the that's the key element versus, let's say, a Cooper, which we love. Just putting that out there, we love Cooper. But it's that, and you can tailor that to a degree, but it's that really tailored element to you as a runner, where certain sessions work, certain sessions don't, certain mileage works, certain mileage doesn't. Simon, you and I had a brilliant conversation. Was it? Yes, it was this week. Again, my ADHD brain, about what we'd learned from the last block and that lot, about how we're going to change up the sort of work that you're doing on your long runs. Yeah, so it was, we're constantly changing bits as we go through each of the processes, as we move between goals, but ultimately we're working towards sort of one longer term goal, is how I structure it. So we're always sort of progressing, although we may not hit the targets that we want to hit, ultimately we're still moving forward. So in terms of the process, Dawn, I'm looking at you. What do you if you had to stop coaching tomorrow, what do you think you would miss from it? Tough one, isn't it? Sorry, get ready.
Yeah, put me on the spot first.
Sorry, mate. I usually do it to Marissa because it's great fun.
Delay me. I think it'd be more the one-to-one, because obviously I've done it for the coaching for a long time now. I know the runs I do. I know what to do if I did it by myself. But I think it would be the one-to-one, and also I think when you're doing your runs, and for instance, even I do sometimes find some of the paces hard.
It's deliberate, dear. It's deliberate.
Yeah, and it's like the double.
Yeah, that was brilliant. I'll give you an example, right? She messaged me. She went, "Fordy, I think there's something wrong with my plan this week." So I went on there. I went on the dashboard, and Simon, it wasn't like you, where it all gone up sideways. No, what it is the fact that when I wrote her plan for London, it was just like, no, I think we need to put some double runs in here, but I didn't tell her. And she said to me, there appears to be an extra run. Can I move it? I went, no, you've got to do it today. So she's got. So sorry, mate. Yes, I totally interrupted you. But that was quite amusing this week.
Yeah, but no, like I say, sometimes when the paces are really fast, I think to myself, you've got to try and get that pace, because you can see what I'm doing. You're looking at it, so that pushes me a bit more.
Accountability, like Simon, like you were saying.
And if I suppose if I wasn't doing that, when you're struggling, sometimes you do back off a bit and take the easy option.
Yeah, and actually, to switch over to you, Wilco, I'll come back to Si, if that's all right. In terms of just on the group setting, actually, in terms of the coaching we do, you always say, like, and the guys regularly say it on a Tuesday, if I wasn't coming to this, and I think they said it on this Tuesday, there's absolutely no way, like, I would be running this session or doing this pace or putting this effort in.
I wasn't there this week, but I saw everybody's on Strava, and just to tell Simon and Dawn, it was how much could you do in 20 minutes, wasn't it? It was going hell for leather, and they'd just got like a little loop of basically a big roundabout, not much bigger than that, is it?
It was horrible.
It's about 250, 300 yards rounds, and they're just bombing it round there. But you don't do that thing. And I think when, particularly when, marathons invariably are the sort of like thing that most people, I'd imagine, saying to you to do, like, I'm doing a marathon, I want to do this, that they talk about 80 to 20%, so the 80% of your easy and all the stuff that you can do on your own, your 20% used to be, was Tuesday nights. Tuesday night, I know that I'll do something, I'll put through it, I'll get, it might be a quick out, it might be an out and back, or at least something more than, 11 and a half minute miles.
Yeah, like you say, Dawn, it's that I would never do that unless I knew Chris was watching what we're doing. And then like, Si, you and I, we're talking about the paces, we were talking about the efforts just this week in terms of how that was feeling and that side of things. So, but same question to you. We've gone a little bit off, but same question to you. If you stopped the coaching, what would you miss the most?
I suppose it's that adaptability and the collaboration between us, really. That prior to coaching with you, probably like everybody, you download a plan off any old website. I got one from a particularly well-known one, and that went went up on the wall, ticked off the sessions, but it was very much try to do everything that was on there, and some of it wasn't achievable, some was a bit too easy, some wasn't quite hard enough. And I suppose what the coaching we do now, and it's app based and it's adaptable, and it's a two-way thing that we can both adapt it, and we have that collaboration between us where we discuss how things are going, and make those adjustments as we need to, really. And does it prevent injury? Possibly, because we talk through how things are going, and I suppose it's that's the side of it that I would miss. Would I go back to a poster on the wall that I would tick off every day, and may or may not achieve.
Can I just ask a question
Yeah.
about it? How much is it a two-way conversation between the pair of you? How much, Chris, are you telling Simon and Dawn, you've got to do this, you've got to do that? And how much do you sort of like chat about things and mull stuff over?
Yeah, it's a good question, Wilco. For me, I don't really need to tell them what to do because that's all on the app, right? So if you didn't know, the performance coaching that I run is app based. The sessions are on there. The guidance in terms of paces are on there. There's data to you can geek out on and stuff like that. And yeah, we can look into that. We can look at accuracy scores. We can look at stride lengths, and we can look all that. But ultimately, for me, the difference is the human element. So yes, they can go out and do the sessions, and I can tell, but it's understanding how that session felt, how that session went, and what do we need to tweak. Like Simon said, if you're getting close to burning out, if we're overtraining, if the pace is a little bit strong, or those long runs, like we just said, Simon, I didn't nail it in terms of his long runs, where we've done a plan before where he BQ'd. We had doing a different sort of long run, and methodology behind the plan was different, and we shifted that because we was hunting a time, so we was more pace focused, and that didn't necessarily work out. And you learn from that, but I only learned that, and Simon only learned that because of the conversations that we have on a one-to-one basis. And the same with Dawn. Dawn's like a sponge. Yeah, she's just absorbing. I know she's sitting there, but she's always absorbing the conversation and the direction of travel. But it only becomes because of how much we're discussing what's the current results, where are we at, what's the feeling. So, and that's the sort of the feel of it all. It's I said it, I think, in the podcast the other week. As a running coach, so to speak, you get runners, and immediately you'll make a difference because they haven't got structure, and like Dawn said, they haven't got that, or Simon said they haven't got that accountability. But it's where you get, where you've got a specific aim, like these two had, Good for Age and BQ, that we've got to work towards. That's effectively where you earn your money, because you're moving the needle just a fraction now in terms of moving them there and there. And as I said, I'm quite open. Like, so we, whether we got it wrong, but we've learned from doing one direction. But listening to these two and my other clients, we will routinely change things and change it up.
And I suppose for Dawn and Simon as well, it's crucial to have somebody who is approachable and will listen. It's been like going to the doctors and like not telling them that you're ill. It's like if you go, oh yeah, I'm all right. If it's like you have to tell the truth. And if you've got somebody on the other side of the fence who you feel is approachable, and you could say, oh mate, that was terrible. Oh, I had a stinker of a session, or I can't do that, I'm struggling with that, or this was brilliant, or I don't think, you're able to offer your opinion, and you'll know that things will be taken on board and you can chat about things.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And in terms of the coaching sessions and how the conversations go, we don't really talk about any particular sessions. We'll have a discussion around long runs, paces, that kind of thing, but we don't talk about doing 4K at whatever pace off 30 seconds and going through that sort of detail, because that's all on the app and that's in the plan. and Chris will probably tell you more about from coaching multiple people around emotional intelligence and how he understands particular people and drivers and how people react to things. But I think it's also important to remember that actually one of the other positives of coaching is around confidence building. I know from the marathon I did where I BQ'd that I was struggling to hit the paces for BQ, which was 3:20 for me for my age group. And a week before the marathon, Chris said to me, "You can do 3:10." I didn't believe I could do 3:20 at that point. And that one conversation, that one liner, I took into the marathon and ended up doing 3:09. And I may not have done that had I not had that particular conversation.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
it,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, Ben would tell a similar story, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ben would. But again, similar to these guys, I've got a goal. Although I kind of, forced his goal on him, was like, but then I say similar sort of thing to Simon, was like, I think you can run sub 3. And like Simon, I said, well, you could probably do that. And same with you, Dol. We was like, you can 100% do Chuka for age. What is it? Up easily. And yeah, a lot of it, like Simon said, it's those drivers for each person. I know once you get to know that runner, you know effectively what buttons to push. It's like I had a conversation with Lee today, and it was just like, listen, mate, just full send it. Just go up there and just go completely nuts. I've got no problem telling my runners to do that. But at the same time, I will turn around and say, no, I'd rather you do this today. Now, if you're like Pager, you'll ignore that and you'll go and run a half PB before the marathon. But no, it is. What Simon's saying is right. You get those drivers for each person to maximize that. And that, to be honest, comes from a relationship. And I would say a huge amount of trust. And I think that's the thing, Dawn. It's that element of trust, right?
Yeah. You've often told me, especially in the earlier days with my easy pace, I used to often get a message, you're going too fast, you're going too fast. Like constantly,
It's hard. But it gets to that point, and this is what I love, is that these guys will know or second guess what I'm going to say to them. That's the best thing. That's when we know it's really working, is that it'll be like, he probably would give me a bollocking if knowing that I'm doing this. Or, no, this pace is a little bit lively. He might not like that. And it's that sort of them understanding the process that I've set out. And as you say, then it becomes into those little touch points and what we need to get the best out of them. And it could be anything. It could be so much interaction that they need that guidance. Others can just like Ian's a great example of it. And he'll go out and run, sub 1:30 at a half marathon, and he's just basically cracked on with it. It's like, you know what I mean? He's just trusted in the process, trusted in what I've given him. He's gone out there and he's executed it, and it's been brilliant. So understanding each runner. I like it. Talk about Ian. Ian, up in Leeds, ran. I'm going to say, I'll be nice to him. He's on the other side of the age spectrum. I'll be kind, Ian. You know how much I love you. But he was so happy with how that he PB'd at the Leeds marathon. It absolutely killed it, and he was so proud of himself. But I was so proud of him. But we gave him no real expectations because I didn't want to give him that added pressure. But he trained so well, and it was there for the taking. He just needed that little push, and it's that sort of stuff, I suppose. Again, where you effectively you earn your money. Moving on to wrap it up.
Can I ask one question?
Yes, of course you can, sir.
So obviously, Dawn and I both have started coaching because we had a particular goal we wanted to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
How would your coaching methods change for, say, a new runner who just got into coaching? Would you approach that differently?
Absolutely. So goal-based work is great and it's fun and it's let's say bread and butter. Someone comes to me, I've done something stupid, FORDY, I've signed up for X, Y, and Z. Or they go, like you guys did, ultimately I want to run this time. Okay. So, like I said to you, then we go long, short. We put some targets out there and we start moving towards that. And in my mind, I have a journey that we're going to go on. Somebody new comes to me. It's like the first thing we have to do is we have to get the basics. We have to do the simple things simple. And I pride myself on coaching in a simple way. So there's nothing worse than somebody whose brain is full of stuff all day long and noise. There's nothing worse than having a million things flying around that you should be doing and shouldn't be doing and all this sort of stuff. Yeah. So it's about getting the simplicity into their life around running so it makes it achievable. So that's a journey that I would start the new runner on. And it would be all about, and I'm going to use the word consistency, but building that consistency into the week. You guys have heard that to the cows come home. But a new runner, we focus 100%. Their goal is to be consistent, not to go and run 10K, 5K, whatever. It's to be consistent. But it is by doing the simple things first. So it is a different approach. And as you say, it's not goal-based, time-based or anything like that. It's all about just taking the clutter away and going, that's fine. Go and do that. Run slower. Do less. It's that. And they go, what? Do what? What? 2 times a week? Yeah, 2 times a week in a gym session. Off you crack. And then it starts, because then they start within the process, which you guys know when it gets into the end that you've gone into, which is time, hunting out, qualifying times, which is really hard because of the pressure you're putting on yourselves and all the mileage you've got to do and all the other bits that surround it. You get into a really, tough environment. So taking away all that noise, all that fuss, all that BS that can float around, and just go, you know what, just go out there and enjoy twice a week running. And that's how we start that process. You're right, it is a different animal, but ultimately we do sort of subliminally, what's the goal? It's all based around, a end goal, because I try and work in what we call the cycles, mesocycles, all that sort of stuff in progression and things like that. There is a science behind it in terms of adaptability, the body adapting, the mind, the physiological side of things. So we do work in those spectrums, or I do work in those spectrums, but ultimately it's that journey to where we're going. There will always be a journey to somewhere, but that might literally be to be consistent.
Everybody wants to progress. Otherwise, they wouldn't put a pair of trainers on.
Yeah, you want to lose weight. You want to run for your mental health. You want to get to 10K, or you've signed up to do Race for Life or whatever it is. But you need, like Simon said, you need a coach to be accountable. It can literally be as simple as that. But good question. So, okay, I'm going to open myself up, and I don't know why I'm doing this, Wilco, and you're not allowed to answer this, Wilco.
I'll put my mute button on.
Put mute on. I'm going in. I don't even know why I'm doing this. What do you think a coach could do better? Dawn. Don't think I'm here. I want you to know what you could get better. What do you is there something that's missing that you feel like a coach could do better, or that you would need from a coach that you might not be getting, or are you okay as you are?
No, I think I'm okay as I am.
She's
yeah,
good. Simon, just because she was nice, it don't mean you have to be.
Well, I've got a list actually.
Did Wilco give you that list? Did Hayden give you that?
I did see him over Christmas.
What do you think? What is there something that if you was looking, let's say I got hit by a bus, right? And you was like, oh, I need a new coach, but actually I need this element. This element's missing from me. Be honest.
So for me, I think actually it's around having those open and honest conversations and we do have those, and we challenge what we do, and I challenge how things have gone. And we had a debrief, didn't we, on Valencia earlier in the week. That I think you say, what would I miss? What I'd look for is something similar where we can have that open, honest dialogue and hold hands up when we think we've got something wrong. And like I said to you in the week, it's more than happy to say, yes, that's a load of nonsense what you're talking, but let's have the conversation around it. And I think that would I miss that no, I suppose the question is that's what I'd look for in the next one.
You'd want somebody who can hold their hands up, or as you say, I think it's and I would look for that in a coach. I would look for somebody that I could challenge on a point and say, might have cocked that up, or actually, I think we need to change that. And what do you think? And actually be able to take that and challenge that. I would look for somebody like that. And I do think as and I believe it or not, I do look back at the blocks we do, Simon, as you said, and we had a great conversation the other day. I do look back, even Dawn, like when we finished, the blocks that we've got to. I know we're into a new one. It's like, right, what could I have done better? Wilco, I think you asked me that question on a pod recently. Do I review my performance as a coach? And the answer was yeah, I do. And I think you're right. But I think I still need to be more accountable for some of the decisions that we've made. Simon, looking at you because of what we said the other day. And I think I would look for that in a coach in terms of making sure. So, Dawn, message to you, even though you're very nice, you still need to make sure you question some of the stuff I do. So there we go. All right.
Can I just bring something up as well? Like Simon, I saw you doing the famous 3-mile route along the Meads with Ben and Chris. It must have been when you were doing Berlin, and I was.
It was.
I passed on the other side of the road. I was doing Yorkshire now. Now that you obviously took the opportunity there to meet up with Chris and to see him, and to how much does it benefit to actually be able to meet up every now and then? And Chris, I suppose linked to you. I mean, you see people at events. How many times do you actually get out to manage to see people?
I'll jump in, Simon, and you can jump in as well. You got to remember, Wilco. I coach, like the setup is virtual. Okay,
right.
So because I coach runners around the world. Okay, so I coach runners also in the US, and I've also coached other runners in other parts of the world. So it can be a bit tricky to do that. Some weeks to pop on a plane and go to the US, but so it's a more of a virtual thing. But it is nice. Answering your question, it is really nice when I go to events and races and I will see Dawn, and I will bump into like Simon, like I've seen you at a few races and things like that. Yeah, he came over to train with me and that was great. But obviously that's the benefit of being, that you can travel and do that. But I think one of the things I really like is when I can get to a race that these guys are at. I think that's, and I know I appreciate that on race day, most days I'm like flying about with ADHD and autism all over the place and I'm just a complete mess. But I do enjoy seeing those on those days. It is actually a really nice treat. Even on a shakeout run, just to see them. It's quite nice. It's quite even if it's like for 5 minutes just to catch up, I quite enjoy that. But sorry, Simon, I jumped in on top of you.
Yeah. So I mean, yes, Wilco, I can remember. Yeah, but I did see you. I actually got in touch with Ben rather than Chris.
Yeah, it wasn't me.
Ben happened to mention that I've got a run at the weekend. We had similar plans. We were both doing Berlin, and we kind of communicated over that, and we decided to meet up to do I think it was a 20-miler one Saturday, and I think it was just a byproduct that Chris was there.
Lucky.
It was nice to see him. We did. I think we did 3-mile loops, so 5K easy and then 5K quickly. So yeah, the 5K easy we ran together, and then the quick ones, Ben went off. I tried to follow him, couldn't, and then Chris followed along behind. So we're kind of, we didn't speak to each other much during those ones.
What he's politely saying, Wilco, is basically, I was too slow to keep up with him.
I was there, mate. I saw it. You don't have to tell me.
I was trying.
I'm like, where is that? Yeah, I'm looking at what. He's got me here in a minute.
It's just like, yeah. But again, it's just great. And Dawn, same for you. It's like, if I see you at a race or whatever, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah, we even met up at Hart, didn't we? We did the Hart, and did the loops on that.
It's great fun. I love it, and it's one of the bonuses, even though it's like a virtual sort of the modern world of coaching, right? It's not like your traditional, like even to a degree what you and I do on a Tuesday, we'll go group setting and all that sort of stuff, which is the sort of old-fashioned way. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this new way of coaching.
Do you think that plays to your strengths? Because obviously you are a sort of like incredibly sort of like tech literate, and you through the YouTube and everything, it's sort of like an extension of that? Are you more comfortable doing that than you would be sort of like in a big group?
I do love coaching on a group basis, because I like getting like proper, like, I mean, you've seen me kneeling on the floor looking at the way people are striking on the floor and all this sort of stuff, and going up and grabbing someone and moving them in a physical way. There's that's how I learned my trade. Yeah. But I do really enjoy the virtual side of things, because it allows me to connect with so many more students. See what I did there? Made you feel all young. Students. Because it opens you up to meeting new people and coaching, working with more people again across the world that you wouldn't necessarily have access. So I really thrive in that environment, because I just love runners, and I love working with runners of all abilities. And again, I've worked with a runner who had a disease, first sort of person ever to run the London Marathon with that disease, and he smashed it. I think he was one of the last people to finish, but his dream was to run it. Yeah, and get across that line, and we coached him to that. And then you've got these guys who are good for age, BQ, and all that sort of thing. So I've got the full spectrum, which is fantastic, really is. And as a coach, you thrive in that, and being virtual, you're able then to work in those environments. But then, as I said, then I get the benefit of the physical sort of, I wouldn't say shouting and screaming at you, but sort of encouraging you to go faster, Wilco, which I know you enjoy.
I always put it in.
Yeah, I know you do. Team, we've gone over the half hour, so I'd like to thank you for coming on and talking openly and honest. I appreciate it. Is there anything you would like to add to before you leave about how coaching has worked for you, and would you recommend it to anyone, Dawn?
Yeah, coaching has definitely worked splendid for me. Like I say, I got my Manchester time, which was my good for age. I then went on and did Chester, got even quicker. I'm obviously doing London in April.
Quicker.
Yeah, but going for Chicago for the time.
Yeah, enjoy London.
So, sorry, can I just ask, Dawn, what sort of time are you looking for then?
Chicago.
For Chicago, 3:30.
That's moving, isn't it?
And what's your PB at the moment?
3:39.
And and what was the first one you ran? I can't even remember.
4:05 at Chester.
Amazing, isn't it?
Oh, not Chester, sorry, Yorkshire.
Yeah, Yorkshire, sorry. And Simon, have you got any closing thoughts on today's award-winning show?
No, only that if you are apprehensive about contacting a coach, just go for it. See how it works out for you. Whatever your goal is, whether it's a PB time-based goal or it's a distance-based goal, whatever the goal might be, it doesn't matter. It's about going through that process, and I would recommend it to everybody.
Brilliant. If you are interested in coaching, you don't necessarily have to come to me. I'm full at the moment anyway. But if you are interested in picking something up, drop me an email, hello@fordyruns.com. All the information's on there. But, there are other coaches out there. So, find one. That's my key message to you, is find one that works for you. And I get that a lot. I get people come to me and go, I was with this guy or girl, and, and this that didn't work. There was that connection or whatever, or that methodology wasn't working. So sometimes you need to move about and find that person. So do that. Yeah. Make sure that you find one that's right for you. Now, it might be me, that might be somebody else, but make sure that you're getting out of it what you want to get out of it. And don't be too shy to turn around and go, that's not working for me. I'm going to go and try something else. Because there's nothing wrong with that. You've got to make sure that you're getting the best out of it for you. All right. So make sure you do that. Wilco, have you got anything to leave us with? Because I've just seen the time.
No, I think it's been a long shift, isn't it?
Do you know what I meant to say that, Wilco? Say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I
did. I tell you, well, yeah, it's an eye-opening thing, and I'm so pleased that people, are getting out of it what they wanted, not only in times but the experience as well. And it seems like it's a good advertisement for what you do, mate. You should be proud of what you do.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, team. Look, thanks for. I smart me ass. But yeah, I appreciate it, Wilco. Thanks very much, guys, for giving up your evening to record this. I genuinely really appreciate it. But you better go to bed because you've probably got like long runs to do tomorrow. So no slacking. And we shall see you all on the next show, whenever that is. I've got no idea. Wilco, no idea what's in it. We should just see you say at some point. So say bye, boys, everybody.
Bye, boys.
Bye, boys.